Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We begin first by looking at the latest drought monitor update that was released on Thursday here, and my main focus needs to be right over here in the southeast, where we've actually seen a spreading here of our first stage of drought and actually a one-class degradation in some locations. The concern is that soil moisture content right here along the coast and getting down into Florida is very low right now. Some locations in the top 3 feet getting down below 10%. So the questions we're going to have to answer in this video is rain coming to these areas? We know that over the last 3 days, we've only seen some widely scattered showers and storms down here in parts of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and getting into Florida, and some stronger storms that came through parts of North Carolina. But the main story has been back over here to the west, where because of the flow pattern we've been just stuck in, which has looked like this, we've seen stronger storms in New Mexico, getting all the way back pretty far to the west here, even getting over toward El Paso. But we're bringing a lot of rain to some folks here that do not need any more rain. It's been incredibly wet. We need to shift this pattern, break it down so that we can get some rain over there into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, and especially into Florida. Stretching this out over the last 14 days, we can see that some places in the southeast have actually gone almost 3 weeks, some locations even longer than that, without precipitation. Meanwhile, the center part of the country has been absolutely soaked. And you can see some of the numbers here. We have in parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. We've seen some locations are getting up well over a foot of rainfall just in the last 14 days. In the southeast, though, it's mainly been hit or miss showers and thunderstorms underneath that large blocking ridge. In terms of temperatures, just kind of keeping us on a historical perspective here, I think when the data come out at the end of next week from the National Climatic Data Center, we might see that the May temperature records, which again, our record link goes back 125 years, we may see this particular May getting close to one of the warmest Mays on record, simply because we've been as much as 12 degrees warmer than average for the last 14 days or so. And the question is, are we breaking down the pattern that really got us into this, which again, I've been drawing this for a while. Is that ridge going anywhere? Well, let's talk about it here as we get going in the forecast. This is the big difference. Right now, we've seen the jet stream of the Pacific tell us a bit of a different story. Instead of being strongly zonal, which means straight out of the west, it's broken up into two pieces. So we have a northern branch here. We have a southern branch down here. And the good news is I had been drawing a lot of stuff like this, right? And that whole pattern has changed. We've now got, in fact, a little shortwave trough that's sneaking through parts of the eastern Corn Belt. It's going to be heading right toward the Carolinas on Friday, increasing their severe weather risk. We flattened that out, and we've taken our ridge and we've kind of shoved it back here toward the west. And that's going to be important to see, because as that ridge moves west, it's going to transition the high heat, and it's also going to be changing up the way that the precipitation patterns are in the near future. So let's see what this pattern means in terms of precip. I'm going to do big picture first. Over the next 15 days, we see that the European model and the U.S. model, so the GFS over there on the right, the European model on the left, they're in agreement that in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, really back into Texas, though, we're going to be seeing repeated chances of showers and thunderstorms almost every day for the next 15 days. The European model, though, tries at the end of the time period, at the end of the 15-day time period, to be bringing more moisture toward the east. See that? Now, we desperately need this and we want this. There is some differences, though, between the GFS and the European model. First of all, the GFS is wet, just like the European model in parts of Texas. But notice how dry it has parts of the southeast over the next 15 days. And we got to understand why that is and what some of the differences are. I'll say this, I've been watching these two models closely for years. And historically, the European model has better performance statistics. The GFS I have seen recently has been trending back toward what the European solution has been the whole time. But in terms of what this means in looking at temperatures, we do expect the southeast to continue to stay warm through the next 5 days. But you will be seeing a transition from the cooler pattern we've been in New Mexico and Texas and Oklahoma over toward, well, much more seasonable temperatures here as we get into the 6 to 10 day forecast. You can start to see things backing off a bit here on the cooler pattern. The south, you're going to continue to stay warm. The southeast, I should say, is going to continue to stay warm at least through the next 10 days. Now watch what's happening to the temperatures. You're going to notice that the heat we've been getting over the southeast, which at points has gotten deep into the 90s, in some places triple digits, we're going to watch this heat slide back to the west as the ridge does that same thing. So watch as I click play here. Let me get my drawings up so you can see some of the numbers. This is going to play fast at first, but watch the temperatures quickly, just sliding back toward the west. Now, as we step through what's going on, let me just show you here. Here's the high temperatures on Friday. You can see right up there in the Carolinas, getting into Georgia, Florida, all the way back into Mississippi and Alabama. We're getting temperatures deep into the 90s in the southern parts of those states, in the eastern parts of those states. Getting into Saturday, see that? We're going to back off in parts of the Carolinas, bringing the higher temperatures over toward Louisiana and Arkansas. And then you're just going to see as I get through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Look at this at the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we start to build the heat back over towards Texas. So expect a warming trend in Texas and I say cooling trend, but just less intense heat across the southeast as this pattern breaks down. What about severe weather? Well, in the day on Friday, we're going to be watching very carefully here along the coast. I'll show you the animation in just a few minutes here. Coastal Carolinas and Virginia. And again, we're watching for more storms to kind of break out in parts of western Texas and New Mexico. In the day on Saturday, it's going to be this corridor right in through here we're watching again. But as the ridge slides in this direction, we'll get upper level subsidence over this area, which means the atmosphere is kind of compressing aloft. And that tends to suppress thunderstorm development. So we're going to kind of get a bit of a donut hole there as we progress toward through the weekend. So our main severe weather threat shown on Friday and Saturday in these two maps. I'm going to show you the high resolution rapid refresh model first here. This is just going to get you through your next 36 hours. What do we see here? In the evening hours on Friday, watch the storms blow up there over parts of the Carolinas, getting up into Virginia. These are the first round of storms we're going to be paying close attention to. Isolated severe threat here as this moves through Friday evening into early Saturday morning. Could get some pop-up showers and thunderstorms all along the Gulf Coast here as well. So we'll watch that carefully. Watch it again here as we step through this. And there you go, you can see them popping. Meanwhile, back in Texas, back in New Mexico, we can see, there they go, there's the storms that are blowing up in that area. So again, we're going to be watching Friday night into Saturday morning for storms in parts of New Mexico, Texas, and then also getting over there into the Carolinas. That's our near-term thunderstorm threat. What I want to animate for you next, though, is just getting out through Sunday. We really see that this area is going to be void, except for maybe a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. Doesn't show too much of a difference between the next 36 hours and the next 60 here as to who's getting the precip and who's not. So let's stretch it out to 5 days. What we've got here, this is the national blended model. And you can see the influence of that ridge as it slowly migrates back to the west here. So much of this rain here is coming just in the next 24 hours, but we will continue to see repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms here in Texas and New Mexico, getting up into Oklahoma, as this same flow pattern just keeps initiating storms there. But watch this. Let me get rid of my drawings, and I'm going to show you now the difference between looking at the next 5 days in total, but then adding into it the 5 following days. And we got to talk about why we see such an increase in precipitation. And we have to talk about the probability of that getting over into the the southeastern United States, which desperately needs this rainfall. So let's dig into this forecast. We begin in the upper levels, okay? Right now we're watching this first upper level trough sneak through here. We're going to see a ridge build back into Texas. That is going to be the main story moving forward. Next, I want you to watch two things with me. This trough here will slowly slide over Texas middle and end of next week. And we're going to see a little disturbance coming out of the tropics that's going to meet up with it, supplying this with moisture. So those are the main features I'm paying attention to. The cool down that we're going to get for part of the weekend in the Carolinas, you can thank this bigger trough for that. So now, with all of that analyzed, let's just see the flow pattern evolve here. There it goes. So see the ridge by the time we get into the weekend moving back here over towards Texas. See the trough here expanding over the Baja of California. Now it meets up with some tropical moisture sliding up the east coast of Mexico, getting into Texas. And this is the source of the potential rain we could get middle and into next week that finally slides over toward the southeast. It's that trough sneaking through right there. So this is now next Friday into next Saturday. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Beyond about a week to maybe 10 days, look at what the model does here. We kind of lose some of our stronger signals. In general, it's tending to do this. But the question is this, how deep is this trough going to be? And will this ridge in the center part of the country be stronger? It's certainly a much different pattern than we were in for the month of May, and thank goodness for that. We've seen a collapse of El Nino, we've seen a switch over in the Madden-Julian oscillation, and all of those big teleconnection patterns have just shifted this. We've also got rid of our high latitude blocking. Now, what all does that mean? Well, let's take a look in terms of precip. What I want you to see is Texas is going to get multiple rounds. Texas, Oklahoma, lots of just rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Friday into early Saturday, the threat is here. This area stays dry for a while. It's not going to be until you get some moisture from this and this upper level trough to meet into Texas next week that we begin to spread that rainfall through this area. That's middle and end of next week. So watch it with me. Ready? As we click play, let's watch that again. This is just in the day on Thursday getting into, Friday getting into Saturday. See the rain moving through the Carolinas and Virginia? This is now Friday evening. You're going to watch storms again across Texas, Oklahoma in the day on Saturday. Notice that Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina, we get a break of all of this as we get into the end of the weekend and the beginning of next week. But watch right there along the east coast of Mexico. You can see the moisture coming up. And by Wednesday, it teams up with that trough. And while Texas, you got scattered showers and storms all at the beginning of next week and the weekend, we see them come together right here by next Thursday morning, spreading throughout the day on Thursday into the lower Mississippi River Valley, and then eventually here across the southeast. Now that is a welcome sight. I hope that that disturbance, meeting up with the trough that's here, they do come together and bring the rain we need for this region. And I want it to get all the way to the East Coast. We'll watch it carefully. To finish this up, I want to give you some longer term forecast here. Brand new European weeklies came out. We can see that the week of June 7th through 14th has shown up wetter than average here. So that's an important clue, as we just saw, in getting some of that tropical moisture to finally spread to the east. Plus, if the flow pattern does do something like this, that helps that moisture get into that area. But June 14th to the 21st, so getting into the middle part of the month, we do see that the European model wants to take this region back over to a drier bias, which many watching this video in the East Coast do not want to hear me say. But that is what the current forecast holds. That way we can watch it together over the coming days and weeks to see how things evolve as we get into the month of June. With that, I'll go ahead and wrap this forecast video up right there. We Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next Southern Region forecast that's coming out next week. I hope you all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.